And
Oh, what happened?
alrighty. So my name is Tony Variant. For those of you who don't know me, I'm going to mute everybody for now. Um, People are still coming in. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. You can turn on your captions by clicking the CC button on your toolbar down below, your meeting controls. There's a little arrow next to the CC button. You want to click that little arrow that's pointing up, and you want to say show captions. Show captions. Show subtitles, it says. Show subtitles. Okay. You can also, I'm going to stop sharing this. You can also adjust the subtitle settings. There's a place for that. So you click on subtitle settings, and you can use the sliding bar at the top. You can go from normal to large to increase the size of the captions. Is everybody who needs captions, are you able to access the captions? Okay. All right. So we're want to go back to my, whoops. Gotta be more careful about that. Okay. So this is Tony. I'm the president of the Hearing Well Club, and we have since the pandemic started. Um, our last meeting was in March. We were lucky enough to have a meeting in March. It had about 50% of the normal attendance because the people were beginning to be told to stay home. So in April, we started off with a bang with our first virtual meeting online with Zoom, and we've been meeting every month on the second Tuesday of each month and at 2 o'clock. We are going to take a break in August. I'll be sending out a newsletter. Um, we but we will not have a monthly meeting. Also, we do have happy hour sessions about every other Friday at 4 o'clock, and I will be putting the schedule and sending out emails about the happy hours and on the days they're going to be scheduled. So if you're on my email list, you'll get that message. We are having a happy hour session this Friday coming up, which is the 17th. So you can find the link to register on the Hearing Well Club website on the schedule page, and just sign up and you'll get the meeting information to join. The Hearing Well Club website has a lot of information. If you haven't visited there, I invite you to do so, because we have a glossary of all the different industry terminology. We have an explanation of the different causes of hearing loss, about assistive technology. My favorite topic is hearing loops, lots of information about that. And so please check out hearingwellclub.com for that information. Okay. And why is this? I want to make a disclaimer. The Hearing Well Club believes that information about products and services that could benefit people with hearing loss should be made available to consumers to help them make informed decisions about their health care, hearing health care. but as such, reference to specific products, services, organizations, or claims made by advertisements and sponsorships through any medium does not constitute endorsement, recommendation, or favoring by the club. So, nor does the exclusion suggest disapproval. So basically what I'm saying is we have products and services being offered. We talk about that, and we're not putting a seal of approval on any of them. It's for information, and you need to explore and make the right decision for yourself. So having said that, I'm going to talk about our meeting sponsor, which is Caption Call. Caption Call is a captioning telephone. Captions everything the caller is saying. They pay for the person who's actually providing the captions for you this afternoon. So Deanna Baker is captioning for us. And so there is a live person. This is not automatic voice recognition. This is a live person. So Caption Call is a phone that can hear and read what the other caller is saying. They provide a landline phone. They can put captions on your iPhone, and they can put captions on your iPad. Now, what's different or what's changed is that if you don't have a landline, you don't need that. They will provide one for you, and they will create one at no charge. In the past, you had to have an internet connection. Now you don't. They will provide you with a hotspot at no charge that will power your phone. And you used to have a verification of hearing loss, and that's no longer required. If you think that a Caption Call phone, you would benefit from a Caption Call phone, you can call them toll-free at 800-557-2227. Another club sponsor is Amazing Hearing. Ann Mundell Noel, a lot of you know her. She comes to all of our meetings when we have them and when we have them again. And she helps me with questions that you ask. I get a lot of questions. I try to assist and help, and sometimes I need help from an audiologist, a technical, a professional, and Ann is there for me. She also helps with helping me get presenters for our meetings. So, and new to her office is Laura Hunt. Dr. Laura Hunt is assisting her or seeing patients in the Amazing Hearing office. They're located in the Oak Brook Village Shopping Center. That's where the Marshalls and the Trader Joe's is, and give them a call. If you don't have an audiologist, it's worth getting a consultation with them. So they are a club sponsor. Also, as a club sponsor, if I can get this to go down, come on. Oops. Hear Now USA. So Rick Archibald is a hearing loop installer, and he installs hearing loops in businesses, auditoriums, courtrooms, houses of worship, and he will loop your TV room so that you can hear your TV directly in your hearing aids. It's telecoil equipped hearing aids. He's a sponsor because in Laguna Woods Village, in all the clubhouses that have a hearing loop, Rick has installed it. So he is the hearing loop installer for Laguna Woods. He's also installed loops in Grace Hills Church, the Lutheran Church and Geneva Presbyterian. So, and looking to do other worship centers. I have hearing loops all over my house. I have three hearing loops. I have one in my living room, one in my office, and one in my bedroom. So wherever I have a TV, I have a hearing loop, and I love it. So if you'd like to know more and understand more about hearing loops and how they connect directly, wirelessly with your T-coil equipped hearing aids, I'm happy to answer those emails for you. Okay, that's the end of that. Okay, now you didn't come here to talk to me, so you're here to find out about California phones. And let's see, Robert, where are you? Okay, you're on page 2. There you are. And Andy Squires is there. Okay, they're both representatives from California Phones. And Robert, I believe you're going to be doing the screen sharing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I've made you a co-host. So we want to hear what's new. First of all, could you raise your hands if you've heard of California Phones? Do I have? Nope. Okay. So that's really, Robert, that's the first question you're going to have to answer is who is California Phones? Okay. And so I'm going to turn this over to Robert.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and it's a pleasure. Tony, thank you for inviting me. After my presentation is done, I'm going to hand it over to my counterpart, Andy Squires, and she's going to tell you about the program that she's working with. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to start my presentation, and so we can get familiar with California Phones, also known as California Telephone Access, or CTAP. If you have any questions for me, please put them down on the chat, and then I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you may have. If I don't have an answer, then I'll probably reach out to you, whether via Tony, so we could get you an answer for you. But let me start sharing my presentation here. All right, wonderful. So California Telephone Access Program. I'm going to tell you actually how I got involved with California Telephone Access Program. My father, who was 90 years old at the time, suffered a pretty bad fall. Mind you, my dad being 90, he was still pretty much a social person, connecting with his friends and all that, all those memory talks that he would have with his buddies. Unfortunately, my dad suffered a pretty bad fall that broke his clavicle. So now he had an injury with his collarbone. The doctors, after going to physical therapy, they pretty much told us that my dad's balance was an issue, and he did not trust my dad with the cane or walker. So a wheelchair was going to be necessary. Now, my dad's favorite phone was this corded avocado green telephone. I'm sure a lot of you remember, and that was my dad's phone because that's what he could hear on. So because he had mobility issues now and a little bit of a hearing loss, my dad just really refused to get any help with any kind of hearing aids or things of that nature. So we spent time researching on a phone that's Corliss that has some sort of amplification. But we couldn't really find anything. We bought phones, returned them. And so long story short, a friend of mine told me about California Phones and says, I assure you they're going to be able to help you. Well, I'm like, okay, I'm sure they could. And he was like, they have commercials in the mornings. So one morning, and maybe it was a few weeks afterwards, I go to my dad's house really early, and we're just chit-chatting, we're watching the news, and all of a sudden I see this commercial about California Phones, how they provide free specialized equipment for people that have difficulties. Well, that's where the story started, and I'm such a proponent of their service that I even looked into getting hired, and look at me, I'm here giving you a presentation. So what is the California Telephone Access Program? Well, this is a state mandated program, and it's administered by the California Public Utilities Commission. In the 70s, it was recognized that telephone equipment needed to be provided for the severe hearing impaired. So that kind of changed a little bit more in the 80s, where it was known that the relay program was needed to be put in place, especially for TTY users. Now, in the mid 80s, the program expanded, not necessarily for the people that have hearing difficulties, but also with seeing, moving, speech, and also memory difficulties. So how is this program funded? I know I mentioned kind of free, but the way that it's funded, everyone in California that has a telephone line, so it'll be a landline or a mobile device, there's a small surcharge that reads as California Relay Service and Communications Device Fund. I can tell you that what I pay for it myself, it's literally cents every month. So, and this is how we're able to provide the service of relay that I mentioned, and also the equipment and other programs as well. So whether you use the program or you don't use the program, everybody in California provides or pays into the program. Now, what are the requirements for this? There are no income requirements. There are no age requirements. There's no Social Security requirement or any kind of insurance. It is literally, if you have a difficulty, you can be part of this program. I mentioned all the different difficulties that we have, but one of the things that I wanted to make you aware is that if you have a difficulty, it doesn't need to be permanent. It could be a temporary difficulty. And of course, if in my case of my dad, he had a moving difficulty and a hearing difficulty. So it was a multiple difficulty issue that he had. So this phone really helped him communicate. What I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you pictures of the phone, but just to let you know, towards the end, I'm going to go to our website so you can see all the different phones that we actually do have available. So this is just kind of like a synopsis of the different categories that we have. So of course, our phones, they are amplified, as I mentioned. Some of them do provide captions. And importantly, the majority of our phones do provide tone control for clarity, as I'm sure that you know that clarity or pitch does sort of change with your hearing loss. So our phones have that ability to change it from high pitch to low pitch as well. Most of our devices are hearing aid compatible as well. They provide speakerphones. Speakerphones are convenient because you could continue your conversation hands-free. So for people that have severe or complete hearing loss, we have, of course, teletype devices as well. I mentioned captions earlier as well, and of course, T-coil compatible. So this is actually one of my favorite phones, and why it is this is the phone that we provide for people that have difficulty or low vision. Why is it? Well, the buttons are really large, right? But also when you press the buttons, they talk back. So it kind of ensures you that you're pressing the right button as well. So that's a really neat feature that people love as well, and the fact that the buttons are really large. So here we go with moving difficulty. I had mentioned my father. And so the phones, of course, they're amplified. They are Corliss. They do have speakerphone as well. So, and some of the phones have other functions as well. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Now for speaking difficulties, the phone that you see here actually has a really neat feature. What that feature is, it's amplification of your outgoing speech. So if you have very low speech, this phone can boost that speech as well. This is our Alta phone. And the really neat thing about this phone is actually, we use it also for people that have difficulty in hearing. This particular phone, I think it's 50 decibels that it gets amplified by. The ringer on this thing, it is so loud that your neighbors will know that you're getting a phone call as well. Some of the devices that we offer as well for people that have difficulty with speech is anti-stuttering devices. And for people that have had laryngectomies, we also provide artificial voice generators. And so those are really neat as well. Those two devices don't necessarily have anything to do with a particular phone, but it's just they address the difficulty of speech. For people that have memory difficulties, we have phones that you could dial by picture. So as you get older, you'll probably forget phone numbers, you probably forget names. So these phones have a speed dial that you can attach a picture, and of course you program it. So you could hit the button of the picture that you need to call, and that will facilitate that call as well. I know that I talked a lot about landline phones, right? And so, but I want to let you know that we also provide devices for people that don't necessarily have a landline, but may have a mobile device. So as long as your device has Bluetooth, you can see these are the two most probably used devices that we have. They provide amplification. A lot of the feedback that I have received with this device, especially the one that you see that looks like a handset, that attaches via Bluetooth. That convenience is most for the people that have switched over to a smartphone. There's no buttons on there to answer, just whether you have to slide or whatever the case is. So this device has actually a button to answer and to hang up. And that makes it really easy for people that sometimes struggle with that smartphone screen. So I talked about California Relay. So we also provide this service for the state. So what this means is, for example, a TTY user or a teletype user, let's say that the person needs to contact maybe, let's say, the dealership because they need they need an oil change. So what they would do in this case is they would get in contact with the communication specialist simply by dialing 711. And then as they would type their message, and the communications assistant will speak on their behalf. And if they have any hearing capabilities, then they could hear directly. Or if they don't have any hearing capability, then the communications specialist will type back to the TTY device. This service is available 24/7, 7 days a week, and is free for all users. Another amazing program that we have is for people that have difficulties with speech or that have difficulties in communicating because of their speech. So this is what we call our speech-to-speech or revoicing service. Very similar. What they do is they would call 711. And sometimes when they have such a difficulty, people may think that it's a prank call and they hang up for them. So our communications specialists are trained to recognize different tones, and that way they can communicate on behalf of the customer there. Once again, 24/7, and it's also free as well. So what are the requirements? Well, you do have to live in California, the name California Phones. You do have to have telephone service, whether it be landline or cell phone. And of course, the difficulties I had mentioned before. This is our actual physical form, but I will show you how you could access a virtual form from our website. But the first section of the form, you just fill out your information, and once you print it out, you got to make sure that you sign it. That's very important. Sometimes we receive these forms incomplete because they're not signed. So then on the second section, there's only two sections. And the second section is where a doctor's signature is required, or what we call a certifying agent. So this is something that the state requires. And once that is completed, you have the choice of, you could mail it in to us, you could email it, you can fax it, or you could bring it into one of our service centers. So kind of talking about what are our certifying agents. It could be a medical doctor, it could be a physician assistant, nurse practitioner, optometrist, audiologist, a hearing aid dispenser, a speech pathologist. So, and it's not that we're very strict as far as like Oh, you have to have severe loss. The fact that you wear glasses, that qualifies you. If you wear hearing aids, of course, you need assistance with that. So that qualifies you very easily. Just as a reminder, does not need to be a permanent difficulty. It could be temporary as well. And remember, there's no age requirement. So if there's other family members, friends, people you hang around with that could help getting one of these phones, by all means, let them know about a program. So this is a map of all of our centers. Some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time. The benefit of our service centers is the fact that you could come in, let's say that you have your form filled out, and if you wanted to get your equipment that particular day, you could come into one of our centers. The closest one here in Orange County is, of course, the one in Orange, but we also have them in San Diego, Riverside, Glendale, Fresno, Berkeley, Sacramento. But we do recommend, if you are planning on coming in, is that you give us a call just to make sure that there's no changes. As the times that we're in right now, things do shift from time to time. So we always recommend, if you're planning on coming in, to give us a call. So not only can you get equipment here, but we also troubleshoot equipment, or if you need some retraining on your equipment that you may have. If the phones that we provide have batteries and the batteries are going low, we definitely will provide you with new batteries. One of the things that we also do is we do field visits, but unfortunately, because of the current COVID situation, we only have a drop-off service at the moment. Normally, if we're back in normal times, we would actually be able to go into your home and set up our devices free of charge as well. Everything that we do is free of charge. So, but if you're interested in that, you could, you want the phone being dropped off to you, we could do that as well for you. So just want to kind of go over a few things here. Of course, we speak multiple languages. If there's a language that you may have a friend that speaks, maybe German, we actually have access to translators. So, and it's, as long as we're open, we can contact the translators, and so that way we can guide you in the right direction, whether you want to be a new customer or an existing customer, and things of that nature. So what I'm going to do right now is actually I'm going to show you our website, and for you to see how our website looks, and also how to fill out a form, and also show you some of our equipment. So I'm going to do new share. Okay, so this is our californiaphones.org website. And as you can see, it tells you a little bit about our program here and how to apply as well. So you can see the eligibility. It's very much what I've told you today. And I just want to show you some of the different options that you have here. So if you wanted to see specialized equipment, where it could be for hearing, vision, mobility, speech, memory, or even some mobile accessories, you could go on here and just review the equipment, and whatever you're interested in, you can pre-select it, or if you want to speak with one of our specialists and saying, hey, these are the problems that I have. I have a hearing problem and maybe a speech problem. What do you recommend? But I'm just going to show you some of the different equipment that you have. This may look similar, which was in my presentation, but you could also see the different features that it has as well. And so you can kind of scroll down here. This is the phone that actually my father ended up with, and I'll show you that in a second. And so you can see the different devices that we have available. And I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit so you can see some of the accessories also that we have. So these are phones, and then we have different amplifiers, what we call speech adjust as well, some tone adjusters as well. So you can kind of get an idea of that as well. So if you're interested in applying, all you have to do is just click here on this apply button. And then you can select the language here. And you could begin. This would be the first section, so you could fill out your information here. Make sure that when you print it, that you sign it. And then this is where a certifying agent will fill out that information. Okay, so just kind of going back with the phone that my father got. This is actually the Panasonic Corliss phone. Amazing phone. It has great range, but it's also amplified. So I'm not sure if you could kind of see that there. You can see that that little button says booster. That's what amplifies the phone. You have a slow button. This phone is really nice because let's say that you're talking to someone who's very enthusiastic, right? And they're spewing and spewing and spewing. Well, when I would call my dad, we talk a lot about soccer. It's like, did you see that great goal? And he's like, son, you're talking too fast. Well, all he had to do was literally hit that slow button right there, and it'll slow down the speech. And of course, this phone is amplified. You have the tone control on the sides as well. So this is the phone that my father allowed him to be social one more time, not only with me, but also with his friends also. So yeah, so if you're interested, I will put my information in the chat box, and let me see here. Let me make sure that you guys get my information.
Robert, there's a lot
Yes.
of people here who are not familiar with the chat box. So,
Okay.
but if people would look, they would see that at the bottom, if you're on a computer, at the bottom there's a chat box. You can open that up, and you can type in a message, a question to Robert, and he will answer it. You could also raise your hand.
Yes. So is there any questions that I could address for anyone?
Okay. It's hard to see everything.
I have the phone that you're talking about. I've had it for a couple of years, and it's very helpful. The only way I would improve is if I could block callers. My phone rings constantly with telemarketers, and I don't answer. But if there was some way I could block them, it would be so helpful.
And which phone do you have, Kay?
Well, I don't know. It has captions and a screen.
Right. Okay. So some of our phones actually do have the capability of blocking incoming calls. So I know that it's really hard. On my cell phone, I also get a lot of unwanted calls, and I do go in there and block them as well. So some of our phones do provide that feature. Not all of them, but some of them do.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hello? Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Sally.
Oh, okay, good. What is the phone your father has? What is it called?
It's a Panasonic. We just call it the silver Panasonic.
Silver?
This is silver.
Silver Panasonic. Okay, great.
Yeah. And the great thing I forgot to mention on here, this phone does have an answering machine as well.
Is it compatible with my, I have the Panasonic cordless phone. Is it compatible with that? Would it fit into the structure there?
I don't, it's a hard question to answer because I don't know exactly what Panasonic phone you have. I know that you can add additional receivers to our phones.
Right.
Right, but I don't know if you could add an existing phone to it.
You got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that I may answer for you? Yes, Diane. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Diane.
Okay. That good?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just want to go back to all the robocalls. We signed up for a website called nomorobo.com, and it has really cut back on all of the calls we get because it catches the calls as they come in. It may ring, the phone may ring once or twice in the house, but then it stops because nomorobo detects it as a spam call. So it's been really helpful and easing the mind. So that's something to look into. If I'm on an iPad, so it's hard to type, but if somebody can put it in the chat box, it would be good.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. I'm going to go back to mute.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for? Oh, hi, hello, Winnie.
Hi, Robert. Yeah, I have when you mentioned that speech, I thought of a friend of mine. She, something happened. I forgot what she said it caused it, but she gets very shaky, her speech,
Okay.
kind of, sound. Would that speech phone help her?
What it does is it augments your speech, so it will enhance your speech. So if it's a stuttering issue, we do have a device for that.
No, it's more wavy, like the sound.
Like
Kind of,
quivering?
yeah, like a quivering.
Yeah, there's not necessarily, because all it will do is it would amplify that quivering for her. For example, my father, he had also a little bit of a heart condition. And so sometimes, just depending if he was active in the morning, you can tell like in the evening time, he was just a little bit more winded. So I would tell him sometimes, hey, Dad, well, this phone actually he does have that feature also, that it will amplify your outgoing speech. And so he would, I would tell him, hey, there's a shortcut on the menu. He would turn it on, and that way I would not struggle hearing him.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Robert, I have a comment
Yes.
here from the chat box. It says, if someone has had a phone from CTAP in the past, do they need to turn in that phone to get a new one? Or if they don't know where the phone is, can they still get a new one?
Okay, so the state, because this is a state program, it only allows you to have one phone per client. So let's say that there's multiple people that have difficulties, you could have multiple phones. So if you've had your phone for a while, it's no longer working, yes, by all means, you can call us and we'll troubleshoot it. If you lost your phone, you're going to get in trouble. No, I'm kidding. You you can actually call us. We'll send you a form to sign. It's like an affidavit, just saying, hey, just let us know what happened. We understand that people lose their devices because they move or somebody sometimes helps them, whatever the case is. Yeah. So if you have a phone, you had a phone and you still have a need for it, yeah, just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to assist you with that. Yes, Marianne. You're on
You
mute,
have to
Marianne.
unmute yourself. And if you've got a keyboard, you could just hit the space bar to unmute yourself.
Okay. Right now, I don't have any home for phone service for 5 days because I don't know, I can't get in touch with Verizon and it's a nightmare. So I have my granddaughter's cell phone, which I am learning to use. Now I don't know what's going to happen with my phone though, but you said on the cell phone or the portable that you have to have a home phone number to have that phone. Is that correct?
Okay, well, that's a tricky question because let's say that you have a cell phone, right? That's what you currently have. You have your
Yeah, I'm using a borrowed
so there's a phone very similar to this, but it's just in black. We call it the black Panasonic because that phone will give you kind of like the same features, but the service will be through a cell phone. As long as that cell phone has Bluetooth, you can request one of these phones, but your service will be your cell phone. So if you wanted a regular traditional phone, just the connection, the provider would be your cell phone. Does that answer your question?
I'm not sure, but so as long as I have a cell phone that I pay, let's say I pay for it, and I can have.
It doesn't matter who pays for it. Yeah, as long as you have a telephone number, correct. You would have to request a phone that connects via Bluetooth. So it looks very similar to this.
All right, connects to Bluetooth. That's the
Correct.
key.
Yes.
Okay, because I do have trouble understanding a lot of people on the telephone.
Sure.
If they have a little accent or something.
Well, and the other option for your cell phone, you don't necessarily have to get that phone. We have our amplifier. So this is the mobile amplifier that I spoke about with the single button for you to be able to answer and hang up as well.
Does that make it clearer? Sometimes it's not clear.
Sure. Well, with this device also, not only it amplifies, but you still have tone control also. And this device here, you can use it as a speakerphone, so you could put it, next to you if you wanted to, or you could put it on handset mode and use it like a handset. And of course, still control how loud you want it as well. It does have volume control as well.
You could dial out on that phone.
No, you have to dial through the cell phone, but if it's a smartphone, if it has, let's say it's a smartphone, let's say it's an Android phone, you could use the Google Assist on it, or if it's an iPhone, you can use Siri on it. And you activate that just by pressing the button, and you could dial by name. But that's something a little bit more complicated, but it is doable.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Wow, a lot of great questions there.
God, I'm so confused.
Oh, we don't want you to be confused. So
No,
it's,
no, but I'm thinking about my Verizon. I can't get through to them. It's just been a nightmare to be without a phone.
No, I understand. It's been a little bit difficult. My mother lost internet connection, and so it was a bit hectic for her. And so my mom just, that's how she connects herself with the world and with her friends and her family members that live out of the country. And so when the internet went down, they just had some issues, and it took a while for them to respond to us. But we finally got it. But it was not immediate. I mean, it's just the times kind of add a little bit of pressure there.
Yes, it does. Okay, thank you.
All right. So I had a question here from Tom and Jennifer. Does the Black Panasonic show the text on the screen as well? The only text it's going to show, it does have caller ID. That's the only text that you'll be able to see there. And it is a menu driven, so it has a lot of options on there for you. But no, there's
not captions.
Yeah, okay. It's not a caption phone.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sally. You're on mute, Sally. If you want to just unmute yourself for me.
If I were to get the black Panasonic, which would connect through my Apple iPhone,
Yes.
does that mean that I could get rid of my landline?
As long as you have, it's your choice. I can't tell you that you have to get rid of your landline. Or,
No, right, I know that.
Right. So that is your choice. Some people connect both of them. So the beauty of that Black Panasonic is that you can connect a traditional landline and also your cell phone.
Okay, but the cell phone would enable that phone to function as a landline.
Correct.
Okay, great, thanks.
Right. Okay, so I don't see any more questions. So what I'm going to, yes, Tony.
Robert?
Yes.
So here's a really good question. The showroom, and we have one the closest one is Orange.
Correct.
Is it open and operating, and can they go there? Because in the showroom, if it's open, and I happen to know it is because I was there yesterday. Yeah, I got another Quattro because mine was breaking. But
awesome.
Mine, yeah. So it is open, and so what I was told is open 8 to 5, and only one person can be in the office at a time. So I peeked in, and there was nobody there. So I said, "Can I come in?" And they said yes. And of course, you have to wear a mask. The benefit of going to the showroom is you can see all the phones. You can touch and feel and talk to somebody one-on-one about your personal circumstances, about your phone line and that type of thing. So I sort of answered the question.
Oh yeah, I figured that.
I outed
Yes.
myself.
No, but I'm really glad because the Quattro is another device that people that have T-coil hearing aids or exactly. And the great thing, listen, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but it's just between you and us, okay? You could actually listen to your music, your podcast, your Audible books. I didn't say this, so don't throw me under the bus. But that is a wonderful feature that the Quattro, which is the device that Tony uses. But I didn't say that. Okay?
But I can say it. So when I'm walking my dog, I'm really listening to my smartphone. I'm listening to KFI radio or whatever, or I'm listening to a podcast or a YouTube or yeah, I'm enjoying music, whatever, when I'm out walking the dog. Sometimes when I'm even working around the house. So it's not just phone calls, although I just can't live without it when I'm driving, because it's just 2 clicks of a button and I'm talking to somebody hands free if I'm getting a phone call. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I've helped a lot of people through. So it does work great. And but you have to have telecoil equipped hearing aids and a Bluetooth smartphone.
Correct.
It could be Apple, it could be Android, doesn't matter. But so it works with that combination.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Tony. So with that being said, I am going to let my counterpart, her name is Andy Squires, probably some of you know her. We call her the Queen of CTAP. She's mentored me and she is a wonderful person. She legitimately cares about everyone she talks to. I heard she's a good cook, so I'm still waiting to see about that. So, I'm gonna let her talk. She's gonna talk about a different program that we have, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share her flyer so you guys could also become aware of some wonderful things that we're doing for you guys as well.
Thank you, Robert. I'll pay you later for saying all those nice things. I do recognize some of your faces from some of our smartphone trainings that we have that we've done. So about 4.5 years ago now, we noticed that some people were starting to use smartphones, but they didn't necessarily feel smarter than their own smartphone. So we put together some trainings with the blessing of the Public Utilities Commission. We have iPhone trainings, which is an Apple iPhone. We also have Android trainings, those 2 different types of trainings. And as of last March, right before we shut down, we had trained more than 10,000 people in California. So there's definitely a need for people to be trained on their smartphones. So this is still what's called a pilot program. It's not yet part of our permanent program. So when you see our ads on television or you go to our website, you won't see mention of the smartphone trainings yet. At the bottom of this flyer, there's an 800 number, and there's also an email address. Robert, if you could pull up the bottom of the flyer. That is where you would want to call or email and let us know you're interested in a smartphone training. So it's a different phone number and a different email address than our traditional CTAP program. When you call or email, let us know your name and what type of smartphone you have. So you're either going to have an iPhone, which is made by Apple, or you're going to have an Android. Some of you have already taken this training. This is still the basic training. We don't have an advanced training just yet. We have put this in a webinar format. So what we're in right now is a webinar. So obviously all of you at least know enough to get onto a webinar. You're miles ahead of a lot of people in California. Kudos to Tony for setting all this up and making sure we all get dragged into this new technology. And we have trainings every month. The beauty of this, being on a webinar format, is that we don't really have to worry about driving to a location, right? So we're finding that we can have trainings, pretty much as many trainings as we need. If a training fills up, which is about 4 people, we're only training about 4 people at a time because we just started. We want to make sure that people get enough attention. If a training fills up, then we open up a new date. So these are some dates that we have for July and August and September. We will be adding more dates if those trainings fill up. We cover the basics of your smartphone. So that's basically, where are the buttons, what do they do? We also give names to those features. So sometimes you know how to get to a feature, but you don't quite know the name of the feature. We go through all of that. And then we go through some of your settings, which is where you would go to make some changes to your phone. We learn about some of the accessibility features, like how to make the text a little bit bigger. But it's basically to give you more confidence on your smart devices, smartphones, and basically to just go over the basics of that. So like I said, it is a pilot program. This is the phone number and the email address where you'd want to just send your inquiry. It is open to anyone in California, anybody who lives in California. And what else can I tell you? Let's see. So CTAB, also known as California Phones, I don't know why they gave us a new name, but now we have 2 names. We've never left any part of our program behind. Robert showed you some of the equipment. A T2i device, for example, is the same T2i device we had when I started here about 18 years ago. So we still have all of the T2i devices. We have the home telephone devices, we have smartphone accessories, and now we have smartphone training. So we're running the gamut of any type of technology you might need. So if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand.
We do have a question. Somebody wanted to know how much the Quattro costs. So you might want to just make a statement about how much the equipment costs, because the equipment all costs the same thing.
Right. Everything that we do in our program is totally free. We cannot take money for anything. I have on occasion taken strawberry pie as a thank you, but you didn't hear that from me. Our old office was right across the street from a pie shop, so that's why I mentioned the strawberry pie. But everything that we do in our program is free. Now, if you're asking because you know someone who lives outside of California and wants to purchase one of those devices, you'd have to look on the internet and find the supplier and find out how much they are. But everything through our California program is free right now. So just to be clear, right now, we are not offering face-to-face trainings at this point. Some of you have taken those face-to-face trainings. We are doing them virtually, which means in a webinar format like this. We split it into 2 parts. So it's 2 one-hour trainings. Our face-to-face trainings were 2 hours all at once, but we find it's a little too much to sit behind a computer to try to absorb information for 2 hours. So we do 1 hour, and then we do the second session usually the next day. So any other questions? Yep.
Oh.
Winnie, you have to unmute yourself. So just hit the space bar while you're talking.
Okay, I thought I had done it. Sorry. Does it matter what kind of smartphone you have in order to take this? Like if I have an iPhone?
Then if you have an iPhone, you'd sign up for an iPhone training.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
If Yeah, if you have an Android, you'd sign up for a separate training. So we do all iPhone at once and then all Android at once. Good
But
question.
it has nothing to do with like the CTP phones. I mean, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, in the cell phone trainings, you bring your own phone. It's not one that CTAP provides or California phones provide. It's bring your own phone.
Right. How many of you have taken the training before? Give me a wave if you've taken the training before face-to-face. Yeah, I've seen, okay. I have seen a few of you. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs up if you didn't like it. See, everybody's thumbs up. Very good. It's good to see you all. Any other questions?
Winnie?
I just wanted to say I appreciate it because I got a new phone and I don't know most of the stuff that I could use on it. I just don't understand how to do it. So thank you for offering this.
Absolutely. It was all my doing. All of it. No. Not all my doing.
Anybody else have a question? Wave. Okay. So, okay, does Tom and Jennifer have a question? Or did I misread that? No, I can't hear you. Jennifer, if you're on a computer, hit the space bar to unmute while you're talking. There you go.
We also sent you a chat message about Caption Call.
Okay. All right. And I don't, some of the names are not matching up with who's asking, so I'm really reticent about
Here's
checking.
the question.
Just wait.
Well, so go ahead and ask me your question.
Okay. At times I've had trouble accessing Caption, especially when there's bad weather back east or a big news. So does Caption Call have the same access problems?
Captions on Caption Call is totally reliant upon your internet service. So, and there's different levels of broadband services. Now, I don't think, Tom and Jennifer, you live in Laguna Woods, but here in Laguna Woods, we have like 3 levels of service we can choose from. And so we have I have the highest level. So I got 100 millibytes or whatever it is, So I've got a big highway for my internet. So if you only have a small highway, you may want to up your internet speed. Also, the captions, your upload speed is more important than your download for captions. So there you go. Okay, I think we've concluded our section. Marianne, you're not by your computer. Are you listening? Okay, I'm going to be contacting you about your Verizon phone. I may be able to help you. So anyway, somebody's coming in late. And they're not coming in with my name. This has really been a very strange meeting that so many people have come in with my name. I have no idea what that's about. And there's been messages coming in privately and in the chat box, and I don't know who it's from because some of the names are not right, or I'm not confident that the name is right.
Yeah. Tony, did anyone else have trouble with Zoom crashing? Because mine crashed at some point and I had to come back in.
Okay. Well, anytime you're on the internet, it could be waffly, it could be wobbly. There's no guarantees. And so we just have to be patient and just keep trying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got one more. Any more questions? Because otherwise we're going to sign off. Robert, thank you so much. Andy, wonderful as usual. Love your classes. And please join us Friday, this coming Friday. Today is the 14th, so it's the 17th, 4 o'clock. We're having our happy hour. Bring your own beverage.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.